Hi guys, Freddie B here. What a terrible weekend I had. AFC, NFC wild cards. Ugh. I went 3-3 and my teams sucked. Dolphins were terrible. Thank God they got an entire offseason to try to get better. I'll hand it to them. They went far. I'm happy for them. Happy to be a Dolphins fan. Went pretty far, but that was not a good showing against Kansas City. And boy, was it looking cold. I don't understand. God, that was just freezing. Anyway, just kind of like Buffalo yesterday. Freezing cold. But the Bills lived up to their AFC East championship status by winning yesterday, so that's pretty good. And I'll give them some credit. Cowboys, disappointing. Dolphins, disappointing. Cowboys, disappointing. Just really, really unbelievable. But we have some interesting matchups coming in to the divisional series. So let's get to it. So I was 33 last week. Freddie B's Pathetic Picks, by the way. Welcome. It's a pleasure to have you with us here on the beginning of the week. I'm doing this on Tuesday so that you could call your bookie. And I'll try to give you the lines right as of today. But I'm sure they will tighten up and change during the week. But let's go to Saturday, 20th. Texans are playing the Ravens in the early game. Ravens are a 9-point favorite in Baltimore. Interestingly enough, in the beginning of the year, I believe that Texans played the Ravens. Ravens beat them. But Harbaugh was rather complimentary of the Ravens, saying, keep an eye out for this team. They're going to be good. And boy, was that prescient, because the Texans are good. And if they win this game, they're in the AFC championship. So they're good. They're not going to win the game, though. Ravens are probably the class of the field, and going to continue to be the class of the field right now. They are 13-4, and they are rocking and rolling, and they are in pretty good shape. So I'm picking the Ravens on the early game on Saturday to win it. Don't like the Ravens. You know my feelings about the Ravens if you've watched Freddie B's Pathetic Picks in the past. But nonetheless, you got to give credit where credit's due. The Texans had a great run this year. Great season. Good for them. Bodes well for the future. And they will be going home and enjoying the spring, probably getting ready for NASCAR season, because that's just around the corner, as is Formula One, by the way. So those of you that are pining for motorsports, I can tell you that things are starting to get heated up over at Daytona. They're doing some preseason practicing. I can almost hear Sebring from my back window. And cars are practicing over there. So World Sports Car, Formula One, NASCAR, IndyCar, going to be in St. Pete very soon in March. I'm going to that race. Don't worry, we'll do a full report for you on that, because it'll be spring training, and baseball and IndyCar we'll be covering very soon. But Saturday evening, we're going to have the Packers play the 49ers. And this game's probably a 9.5-point dog is the Packers. 49ers favored by 9.5 right now. They're an overwhelming favorite to win the entire NFC. So we'll see. I, too, think that the 49ers, because they're playing at home, they're so used to that fecal smell that permeates the San Francisco Bay area. And if you've ever been in Green Bay, Wisconsin, it is pristine and beautiful. It's freezing cold. It is so cold. I was there once, and I mean, it was 20 below zero, but if you stood out of the wind and in the sunshine, it wasn't terrible. I remember I smoked back then, so I had to go outside to have a cigarette. But it was freezing cold. Plus, I had a hangover so bad. They have, those folks up there in Green Bay know how to party. They'll take Goldschlager and Jägermeister and mix them together. And you do about 5 shots of those with your best friend, and boy, you get hammered. Anyway, so that was a fun trip, but I do remember 20 below zero, cold. Unbelievable in Green Bay. But went to lunch with 2 beautiful tall blondes that day. And you know how E.F. Hutton, when it says E.F. Hutton talks, everybody listens? We walked in the restaurant and you couldn't hear a pin drop, because Everybody in that place was like, what? And we were like that too with them. Anyway, I'm going to take the Packers as going home back to Green Bay because I think the 49ers are going to win that game. So that's going to be your Saturday games in the NFL. Then we go, boy, did the Buccaneers play pretty well against the Eagles? Now, the Eagles, don't know what happened to them. They were on a friggin' roll all season. They won like 10 of their first 11 games. I mean, people were like, are they going to go undefeated? And then they went straight downhill. I don't know if they had injuries. I'm pretty sure they did, but or somebody caught them. But I will tell you this, the Buccaneers played them well. And yes, it was a penalty when 52 on the Bucs grabbed the guy's helmet to keep him from getting that 2-point, but nobody caught it. So I think you could probably pretty convincingly say that there is a penalty in every play of every NFL game. Holding's going on somewhere. It's just a question of getting caught. It's kind of like racing. Cheating is going on. It's a question of getting caught. So anyway, the Buccaneers didn't get caught. They denied the 2-point conversion. Probably proves you shouldn't take points off the board. Actually, I think they did it twice. Interesting calls on Philadelphia. But the Buccaneers did a great job. And they had to win to get in, basically, to get into the playoffs. And then they won very well at home. And they played very well. They're going to go up to Detroit. And Detroit squeaked by the LA Rams. But it was a pretty darn good game. Detroit's a 6.5-foot favorite at home. But you know what? I'm going to take the Buccaneers because they're an hour up the road. They're my team along with the Dolphins. I got to take them. You know that. If you've watched me all year, you know I have to take the Bucs. But it's going to be a really, really good game. But I think the Bucs can actually win this game legitimately. So I'm taking the Buccaneers legitimately to upset the Lions in Detroit, even though Detroit is a prohibitive favorite currently. And then that takes us to the Chiefs against the Buffalo Bills, the current AFC East champion. The Bills, the hated Bills if you're a Dolphins fan. But you got to admire them. They are playing great, and they played great yesterday, and they won. And they are a 2.5-point favorite at the Chiefs. And if you give hometown 3 points, that's basically this game's a toss-up. But the Chiefs really took it to Miami. They don't have a problem playing in the cold weather. So there's no neutralizer there if Buffalo has the weather like they had yesterday or over the weekend. Both teams can play in it. So that's kind of an evened up match. Mahomes played very, very well. I like Josh. He's Josh Allen of the Bills. Probably still, those are two still of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Even though, as I've said earlier, I think the Chiefs are on the descent. The Bills are certainly on the rise. And I think the Bills take this game at home, and I think they take it by more than 2.5 points. I really think they might win by a touchdown or two. So I'm going to take the Bills. And that would set up the AFC with the Bills at the Ravens, which would be a hellaciously good game. And I might even take the Bills in that one. And it would be the Bucs against the 49ers, and the Bucs would have to go out, I believe, to San Francisco to play there. And that's going to be a tough game for me to call, but could be very, very interesting. So we're getting closer. We're getting it down to narrow the field, and those are my pathetic picks. I'll say Jason Kelce retiring from the Eagles. Good on you. Congratulations. Great career you had. And you're probably getting out and you're walking. And, you know, if things work out well for you, your sister-in-law is going to be a billionaire. Or your maybe sister-in-law. She is a billionaire. So, you know, who knows? Maybe she can introduce you to some of her friends and you'll just be fine. Anyway, so that's what's happening in Freddie B's Pathetic Picks for this week. Look forward to seeing you next week. Again, if you like what you see, subscribe. More content's on the way. Working on other projects that won't be sports related, but it might interest you anyway. Those will be coming up in the very, very near future. You'll see those right here on this channel, so subscribe. You might be surprised. I actually have some talent in other areas. No, I don't. Anyway, talk to you later. Talk for now.